Hello everyone, it is so good to have you here for another video. Today's topic is near and dear to my heart, which I of course mean literally because the heart and the stomach are snuggled up together and all they have is a thin little diaphragm to keep them apart. When it comes to portion sizes and weight loss, diet culture has long insisted that if you want to be the thin, perfect ideal that the media tells us is lovable and acceptable, we have to restrict our portions to acceptable sizes, i.e., small sizes. The subtle undercurrent of this message is that we should be satisfied and grateful for the little bit of food we are allowed to eat. And if our bodies don't measure up to the photoshopped, starved ideal, it's because we are careless gluttons. If your normal human-sized stomach and your normal human nervous system is not satisfied by these abnormally tiny portion sizes, the implication is that there is something wrong with you because you're a weak-willed loser who deserves their misery for not being able to control themselves. The myth of the efficacy of small portion sizes for weight loss, in my experience, leads to cravings. That craving leads to slips in willpower, during which high-calorie, low-nutrient, forbidden foods are consumed in forbidden amounts. I see so many people who are smart, capable, kind, well-intentioned people slip into a pattern of further restricting the portion sizes of their meals to make up for willpower slips, leading to more craving, leading to more slip-ups. A lot of people end up with incredibly small portioned, low nutrient diets as a pattern of binge eating and self-loathing driven portion restriction develops. I think the lie of the necessity of small portion sizes for weight control came to be because we have been encouraged and conditioned to base our diets on calorie-dense, nutrient-poor, hyper-palatable processed foods. If we are eating these highly condensed calories, it makes sense that we would have to eat less than our appetite and our stomachs naturally want. But these processed foods are designed to be hyper-palatable, which means they hijack our natural appetite regulating mechanisms, making it explicitly challenging to resist overeating. Most of us, through no fault of our own, just don't have the energy at the end of the day to willpower ourselves away from a bag of chips or cookies. Because of this loathsome mess, I am going to invite us to let go of portion restriction in the same way that we have decided to let go of calorie restriction, because it doesn't work, and that's that. Just put it in the trash can, which gives us the chance to try something different, like admitting that stomachs do not exist to be half full. I can't think of any other life form that purposefully gaslights itself out of its appetite by eating less than can fit in its stomach. But if we are going to let ourselves eat to our stomach's content, and we want to be mindful about our health, nutrient sufficiency, and weight, it pays to eat the food that supports long-term health, provides ample nutrients, and engages our natural appetite regulating mechanisms. Based on a lot of great research, those foods are fiber and nutrient-rich whole plant foods. So on a whole plant food diet, what are some more satisfying, more nourishing, more sustainable portion size options? The first is Harahachibu, a practice from Okinawa, Japan that has been widely popularized throughout the West by the Blue Zones work of Dan Buettner and company. This statement, which is repeated before meals, reminds the eater to only eat until they are 80% full. The fact that so many Okinawan centenarians do this has led researchers to conclude that this habit could be one of the reasons for this region's exceptional longevity. But there are some questions about compliance, sustainability, long-term bone density, and the development of potential nutrient deficiencies. Does longevity by itself translate into holistic health and a life well lived? Not necessarily. As the old joke goes, if I ate like that, would I actually live longer, or would it just feel like forever? This is what my face looks like when I think about eating until I'm 80% full at every meal for the rest of my life. Are you ready? This is it. I can't go through my life like that. Maybe if I weren't so active and muscular, maybe if I didn't enjoy the calming effect that being full has on my body and mind, and maybe if I weren't like head over heels in love with food and eating, this option would work for me. I certainly know of a lot of people who claim to eat this way and report feeling satisfied and nourished. So I do think it's important to offer the practice of Harahachibu as an option. Along a similar line, there is quite a bit of research on weight loss, meal size, and meal timing. In his book, How Not to Diet, Dr. Greger talks a lot about eating our largest meals earlier in the day, which takes advantage of the naturally higher insulin sensitivity that we have in the morning and early afternoon. As the saying goes, have breakfast like a queen, lunch like a princess, and dinner like a pauper. I don't think it takes too many seconds trolling my Instagram to realize that that pattern doesn't work for me personally or socially. I like to gorge with my husband in the darkness of the night. It's how we close our stress cycles, and I don't see that changing. And for now, it doesn't need to change because I'm not experiencing any negative repercussions. However, according to research, eating our larger meals earlier in the day can be an effective way to expedite weight loss if it works for your life. If it's easy to shift larger meals to earlier, then great, do it. If it's super stressful and results in you miserably munching celery sticks while you watch your partner and kids eat dinner, I don't personally believe that the extra stress and resentment is worth it. As with everything else, the choice is yours. And I will mention that as with any dietary change, I think that it can be helpful to use a food tracker app for a little while to get a good idea of how our basic nutrient needs are being fulfilled. And of course, make sure you talk to your doctor before you make any dietary change. Okay, so we've covered eating until you're 80% full and eating your larger meals earlier in the day. The next option is to simply eat when we're hungry until we are comfortably full, which is a phrase you may have noticed me using in the past without totally exactly knowing what I meant, so I'll explain. I like this phrase because it invites and celebrates fullness, which is an incredible sensation. When the stomach and small intestines are full of nutrient-dense, nourishing food, they send signals to the brainstem via the vagus nerve, which is a very strong regulator of the autonomic nervous system, and thus our stress and relaxation responses. My experience of this effect translates into a feeling state by triggering contentment, calm, and a sense of safety after I enjoy a hearty meal. The human nervous system has been associating meals with community and safety for eons, so it's not surprising that this is a feeling state that happens alongside physical fullness. It's not shameful that eating makes us feel happy and content. It's nature, and I celebrate it. But speaking of shame, I had to learn to allow this calm, content feeling state after a meal because intense diet culture indoctrination had taught me to feel disgusted and ashamed when my stomach was full. Since we have the trash can open, let's go ahead and throw in any shame and disgust that we've been conditioned to feel from having a natural, normal, post-meal full stomach. In addition to fullness, I like to specify comfort because, like, let's be real, there's full and then there's full. Comfortably full is, in my opinion and experience, laid back on the couch, a smile on my face, enjoying some nice slow, deep breaths, just feeling satisfied with life. An alternative description would be, I can still be wearing pants without it feeling like an emergency. Uncomfortably full, or what I sometimes refer to as just shy of gastric rupture, is more like propped up on the couch with pillows because it actually hurts to recline too far, and groaning between shallow breaths because my stomach is so full that my diaphragm is actually unable to stop it from compressing my lungs. There's lots of burping, there's indigestion, shifting positions. I have to waddle to the kitchen to do the dishes. An alternate description would be, help me, waistband! If I am honest, which I like to be, I have breached the boundary between comfortably and uncomfortably full more times than I can count in the last 10 years. Maybe it's a layover from my unmitigated binging days. Maybe I like the way my food tastes a little too much. Maybe I'm like just psychologically deranged enough that I still can't control myself. I'm sure there are a million ways to pathologize my accidental overindulgences, but whatever the cause, as long as I stick to whole plant foods for most meals, these semi-regular forays into gastroenteric overload haven't had a negative effect on my weight or impeded my ability to reach my goal weight. I do have to admit that this habit may be kind of hard on the old liver, in that hepatocytes have to work overtime processing all of the nutrient and toxin containing blood that's coming from my digestive tract when I am uncomfortably full. There's also a chance that I could one day like eat so much that my humongous stomach causes my inferior vena cava to just collapse, killing me within minutes. Just kidding. That last one's impossible, I think. Hashtag things I Google in the middle of the night. As my eyes are routinely much bigger than my gut, I have found it useful to get myself into the habit of taking 1 to 2 scoops less than I think I want, especially of my denser meal components like, beans, grains, and potatoes. If I then go on to clean my gorging trough, yet don't feel satisfied, I will definitely go back for seconds, and I found that I'm usually a lot better at judging how much food I still want when I'm serving myself seconds. I tell you my food cramming escapades not to encourage you to purposefully overeat, but to try to perhaps offer some comfort and reassurance to anyone who is still unpacking diet culture from their nervous systems and may be scared to let their appetite dictate their portion sizes. I also want to reassure anyone who may have a background of binging and is capable of eating like a lot of food and may not yet have really tuned into the sensations in the digestive tract. I know a lot of us sit down for a meal and then it's like all of a sudden we're just full to the point that we could pop. It happens. In my experience, whole plant foods really offer us a bit of grace while we work to tune into our bodies more. That's what I mean when I say no restriction, because when we're eating whole plant foods, we get to eat as much as we want, as often as we want, and it feels so satisfying to eat this way with nice, big, filling, satisfying portions, and the health benefits just keep piling up. I cannot imagine wanting to eat any other way. So I invite us all to invest some time in tuning into our bodies and learning to pick up and distinguish appetite cues, learning to pick up on satiety cues before we're overstuffed, which is something that I am still working on myself, and making sure that we take the time to walk that self-judgment, that societal judgment, the shame and the self-loathing to the trash can every time we notice it coming up. Okay, my friends, I'm gonna wrap up here before I just keep rambling on about how much I love shoveling food into my mouth. And maybe we can just go do that instead. Lead by example. Okay, I have a big, beautiful breakfast right here. I have some beautiful orange sweet potatoes, a few cut up bananas, 2 Brazil nuts right there, some dark sweet cherries that had been frozen but are now thawed out and gave me some delicious cherry juice to smush into my sweet potatoes. And then I have 2 beautiful little tangerines from my very own tangerine tree. As you can tell, this is a nice, big, hearty breakfast. I do not ever skimp with my breakfast. I think it's such a great way to start the day right, getting in lots of nutrient-dense foods. And I really feel like sweet potato is one of the most underrated breakfast foods. It's sweet, it's a great texture, great taste. They are incredibly nutritious, every variety. And there are so many varieties. Okay, then I'm just gonna eat, digest, absorb, and assimilate these incredible nutrients from my breakfast. And then I'm also just going to sit here and absorb all of the high flower vibes that are percolating into my brain right now. Might be getting some allergies. I will see you for my next meal. Okay, here is a big, beautiful dinner that has been put together with the principles of the perfect, quote-unquote, plate that we discussed in the last video. Half is a big veggie stir fry with lots of kale from the garden, onions, eggplant, garlic, ginger, carrots, daikon, and then I just drizzled this with miso. Then I have some soybeans that are kind of hidden underneath this kimchi. That's taking up about a quarter of my plate, and then the last quarter is devoted to my beautiful sweet potatoes and a little bit of my homemade bread. I also put some miso on the bread to continue like the same flavor profile across the whole meal so that I don't get too many flavors. Several slices of beautiful local butter avocado, and then a little bit of kimchi, like I said, for another little bit of flavor. And before dinner, I'm just enjoying a glass of sparkly water and hibiscus tea, blended about 50-50, and waiting for this guy to ripen all day, every day. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I am so loving all of the comments that you guys are leaving on these videos. I do my best to read every single one of them, and I want to say a special thank you to everyone who really puts an effort into keeping the culture on this channel and in the comments section just like exclusively supportive and proactive. And that's because of you guys. I cannot appreciate your vibes enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It makes this whole process so joyful. Okay, so until we meet again, make better choices for yourself. Nobody will do it for you, and take really, really, really good care. I will see you all so soon. Bye. Beautiful little mandarins from my tree. Please go away. I only let my husband pollinate me. Thank you. Let you have a little bit as well. There you go. Oh, else that I do. I just film and ruthlessly mock myself. That's not even yours.
Bad girl. Bad girl.
Ew.